Covering the community, events, and people of Georgia, Carolina. This is the Means Report. Here is Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Means Report. So happy to have you with us, and really so happy to be on at our new time, 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoons. A great way to kick off the month of November, don't you think? And hopefully this is going to be our slot going forward. A slot really that allows so many more people to watch and so many more people not to use church as an excuse for skipping the Means Report. Hopefully you've had time to settle back in after your services, eat your lunch, and watch this broadcast. And we do appreciate it. For all of our new viewers that are coming onto the scene here at the Means Report, you're in for a treat. We've got a great show lined up today, as we do every day. We're going to kick it off by talking about your finances. That's been a hot topic, I'd probably say since about 2008 or so. And Jeff Fehrman has been kind enough to hold our hand through all of it and give us some guidance during these tough times. Also coming up, the Salvation Army kicking off its Kettle Drive in just a few short days. We'll tell you how you can help those bell ringers make a real difference in this community. But first, let's get right to the financial picture today with Jeff Fehrman. He is president of the Fehrman Investment Group. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on your new building and your new home in Augusta.
We're excited about our new home. I'm excited to be here at your new home. This is a wonderful facility you guys have here. Very exciting for you.
It really is exciting. It costs a lot of money, and now Media General has to figure out how to manage that money and pay for it.
That's
just
right.
Like all of us. We are trying to balance the bottom line, and we appreciate our parent company making the investment. Speaking of investments, what can you tell people during these times to do as far as maybe adjustments they should make? Just give us some perspective on what we should all be doing to get through this economy.
Yeah, I think we want to be readjusting, as you said. It's time in the year where we all start thinking about that. We start getting towards year end and we're excited about Thanksgiving and Christmas, and also need to be thinking about your finances and the big New Year's resolutions of getting your finances in order and getting your fitness in order. And I don't know which order those should be in, but I'm probably biased in what order they should be in, Brad. But you need to really refocus. I'd say two things. Get some confidence in your plan, or put together a plan. Maybe have an advisor. We're biased in that front too, but have somebody or a team of somebody's really that are helping you put together that plan. Have somebody unbiased that's on your side with the technology resources to help you do that. And just you can't predict the economy, but you can predict and track where you're at today and try to predict into the future some.
Let me ask you a question about people's portfolios. And the reason I'm asking you this is because I've been hearing this a lot, not just around the workplace necessarily, but around the community. People are dipping into their retirement savings to make ends meet. People are withdrawing or borrowing from their 401ks and other retirement plans. I guess I would ask you, first of all, I know you don't like it, I know you hate this, but if this happens, and I know people out there are connecting with this, what is some advice that you can give people to lessen their tax burden perhaps, or to somehow let there be a positive side to that? Because I'm serious, it's been probably 5 to 6 people since we last saw each other.
Yeah, that's a good question, because it does come up frequently in a bad economy, and I think there's a couple things you got to think about. People get wrapped up in, I don't want to use my savings account money, I'm going to dip into my 401k first. I think that's a mistake. You need to use your savings account money first, purely from a tax perspective. If you've rolled your 401k, maybe keep that in something liquid that you can access, but from a tax perspective, use that absolutely positively last. But then again, there's instances that you cannot control, and you have to do what you have to do, and then just make that retirement savings up later, Brad.
Let's talk about the direction of the economy. I know you always break out the crystal ball. There are no guarantees, but what do you see going forward with our economy?
Yeah, I think a little bit more of the same. What we've seen right now is we're seeing growth in this 1.5% to 2.5% range in the economic environment that we're in. That's what we've seen this year. Kind of slow. It has been steady, but unfortunately it's too slow to really add a significant amount of jobs. We really need to be at 3.5% growth in the economy to add significant jobs. If you got your September 30 statement, your valuations on your retirement plan certainly weren't exciting. Good news today is through October, those did bounce back. So I'm not big on checking your account a whole lot. It's a long-term plan, but if you're a little depressed when you got your statement, maybe go online or give a call and check with your advisor on your current statements, because those are probably a little bit better than they were, Brad.
Okay, so you're not holding out high hopes for the job market. If you're unemployed, watching, and some of those unemployed people are the ones dipping into their retirement, what should they do? Should they hold off and just not mail out any more resumes till January, or is there hope for this final quarter?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we will see some hiring. I think we're going to see more of that same, where it's very strategic. I think you're going to have to work harder than ever to find a job if you're looking for a job. I wish that was going to be an easy process, but I don't think it is. I think you're more likely to find a job in the private sector. We're actually adding, depending on the month you look at, 50 to 100,000 jobs per month in the private sector, so that's good news. Unfortunately, eating into that a little bit is government sector, local and state in particular, nationwide, not specifically local, are laying off. So it's going to be tough, and unfortunately, I'm afraid to say that I don't know that it gets improving quicker anytime real soon. I think that things will get better. Companies have a lot of cash, but it's going to be some time with all the political upheaval, Brad.
A lot of our viewers are living on fixed income. A lot of our viewers depend on interest that they earn from their investments. So let's do our periodic talk about interest rates. What do you see there?
You see what we've seen more of this year is continued low interest rates. The Federal Reserve continues to see reason to keep rates low to spur economic growth. We've got this thing going on called Operation Twist, which is always a fancy word when you talk about government and what's going on. Operation Twist is basically just selling shorter-term securities to buy longer-term government debt. The idea being there is bringing down long-term rates, which spurs, hopefully, mortgages, building, business growth. But it's going to be slow coming and rates going up anytime soon. And I think that people have to recognize you may have to expand your horizons as far as what you're going to recognize as getting out of their comfort zone a little bit of maybe they can't just have an FDIC insured CD. Not that those are bad, but maybe they need to expand their horizons with different investments.
Should you refinance your home right now? And I know that's a broad question, but would you perhaps choose an interest rate? Say, if your mortgage is 5% or higher, yes, refinance, or should we even pursue that right now?
Yeah, that's, part of the advisory team, in my opinion, is a good mortgage originator. So it's not something I do directly, but I spend a lot of time with clients looking at. The rate differential used to be, the old idea was 2 percentage points. I'm not sure that's always true today. Rates are so low. Depending on the timeline you're looking at, we're seeing a recuperation of your upfront costs in 18 to 24 months. Again, you got to really look at what's your costs, how much you're refinancing, those kind of things. But if you're going to be somewhere for a long time, I really recommend you take a look at it, Brad. It's a great rate environment.
Let's take a look at the costs of the stuff we use every day. Take a look at the commodities market in particular. Your thoughts on that and what you see in the future.
Yeah, so it's been continue to be a tale of two worlds in the commodities market. The good news is, from a commodities perspective, the world has slowed a little bit, and what we've seen is gasoline and oil prices down a little bit. It's all supply and demand in that world. So as things feel a little slower, consumers are spending a little less on gas, but that's been a good thing from a pricing standpoint. So commodity prices have actually come down a little bit, which is helpful. The other commodity we get that's really not a consumer commodity, but is the gold question of, is it time to buy gold? What do I do with my gold? Our view of that is that gold is very speculative. You need to look at it as a diversifier, but at these prices, I think you need to look at it purely as speculation. You need to be a little bit careful in gold in some of those areas.
Well, if you have spare money to invest, should you still ask yourself that question? Would you care if this money completely went away before you enter the market or enter the gold market?
Yeah, that's a good question. Hopefully, if you have a diversified portfolio, that isn't the process you need to go through. But you do have to be willing to look at what is my upside and downside and how comfortable I am. With something speculative like gold or single stocks, I think that's a great mantra that, can I live without this money?
Right. Let me ask you about your general thoughts about the overall economy over the next 6 months. You've always been very realistic with us, not too high, not too low. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so I think where we're at from a just general economic perspective is interest rates are great. Some positives are companies have had record profits, which is fantastic. They've had record earnings and record cash, all of which should lead to jobs today. The problem is, in my opinion, is that the political uncertainty out there, and that's here in the States as well as Europe. And until we get some resolution, which really is probably some infighting along the way till next year, I think it's going to be hard for companies to let loose of that cash and see meaningful growth in the economy and in the jobs market, frankly.
You think some investors are holding off even as far ahead as until we see who our president is?
Absolutely. I hear it every day.
Yeah.
Local as well as, corporate employees. Okay. Absolutely.
Well, that's a reality check because, if you're expecting relief anytime soon, it may be well after the next presidential election.
I hope not, but I hear it every day. You probably do too in the community.
I do. I hear it all the time. Let me ask you this. What should viewers be thinking about then as we make our planning, and you're always so good about that at the end of each year, as we finish up 2011 and prepare for the new year? What should our mindset be?
Yeah, so our mindset should be, in my opinion, going back to where we started, is focusing on the plan. What are your goals? Relook at what are your goals? What do I need to do to get there? There's no crystal ball to know that you're definitely going to get there, but we need to have a plan in place. That comfort level could be increased with a plan. So you can't predict the economy, but once you have a plan and you continue to work towards that plan, you're going to feel better about your financial future, and I think that's the key. That's what we do every day. That's really what makes us feel good about what we do, is people coming in and saying, thank you for what you do, and thank you for helping me have a plan.
Well, thank you for your guidance, and I know that you're going to be back soon, but these are uncertain times, and it's good to hear your voice and to get your expertise.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Jeff Fehrman, president of the Fehrman Investment Group. You need anything more, please get a hold of the Fehrman Investment Group. You can get a link to their website on our website, WJBF.com. You can also watch Jeff's commentary on our Means Report on the web at WJBF.com. We'll give you more information on how to access that a little bit later in this broadcast. But first, we want to talk to representatives of the Salvation Army about their upcoming kettle drive and how you can help give social services in the CSRA a big boost when the Means Report returns.